Okay, so my topic's killer cover letters. Okay, so here's the deal. Very few people write cover letters. Back when I was an executive at Citibank, I had a job posting that I had 80 people apply for. Guess how many cover letters I got? 3.
0? I'm going for 0.
2 out of 80.
Sorry, we just got the...
No, you're fine. So it's very rare. So just the fact that you write one is going to put yourself ahead. Now, when it comes to graduating students applying for jobs, students tend to be a little bit better than the average professional to do that, because, you know, in a lot of your classes and your career placement centers, they're asking you to do it. But most of the time, just by writing a cover letter, you can really distinguish yourself. However, that's not always a positive. A poorly written cover letter could, you know, totally scuttle your chances at that job. So you got to make sure it's well written. What's the purpose of a cover letter? The ultimate purpose. Right? To get the interview. Exactly. That's the ultimate purpose. It's not gonna get you hired, but you've got to, you know. I think what was it, Gwen said that at Boeing, how many applicants per job? 200. You know, in a situation like that, I mean, you got to differentiate yourself somehow. And so I think writing a good, powerful cover letter can do that. Everyone's going to submit a resume. Okay, and your resume is going to have to be somewhat general in nature. It's got to kind of be all things to all people. Because a resume, and Karen, you're in HR, you know, from what I've seen, a resume is used more to screen people out than in some cases screen people in. And so the cover letter is what you use in addition to it to focus the person. And basically, the method of cover letter that I've always used, I learned, I actually left Citibank for a brief time to become a headhunter. And this was the method that we used and we taught all of our candidates to use. As a recruiter, as an executive recruiter, you don't get paid in most cases unless you make the job possible. And so, you know, we did everything we could to stack the deck and to help the candidate get placed. And so the type of cover letter that I've always used is called an executive briefing, okay? And it's very effective because it's simple, okay? I've got this handout here, and this is going to spell it out. Can you help me? I've got some examples in the back as well. Let's go through it. It's as simple as what's the T-chart? So you have an introduction, and then you have 2 columns: the requirements and how you stack up against those requirements, and then you have a conclusion. And it's that simple. You want to keep it simple, okay? The introduction is just what it is that you're responding to, okay? So this generic one in the front page, I'm responding to the recent whatever it is you're responding to. While my attached resume will provide you with a general outline of my work history, my problem-solving skills, and some achievements, hopefully your resume does that. Otherwise, you need to tweak your resume. I have taken the time to list your specific requirements and my applicable skills in those areas. I hope this will enable you to use your time effectively today. No one says that. And that's going to get their attention. And then you list bullet point, their requirements, and right next to each bullet point, how you stack up against those requirements. It's that simple. Okay? And then the summary, some people are uncomfortable with my summary. My summary is fairly aggressive. Again, I'm trying to differentiate myself from the other candidates. So I actually ask for the interview in the summary. I firmly believe that my business-related education experience in whatever the field it is that you're applying for will be a good match for the position and would like more information about the position in an interview. I go ahead and ask for it. And I specify a date. You know, if I'm sending it on a Monday, I'm specifying it for like the following Friday. You know, would that be suitable? I realize that you're very busy, so I will call you 1 week from the day I'm sending it to confirm that date and arrange a time that fits with your schedule. Looking forward to meeting you and thank you for your consideration. Now, keep in mind, I have never made that call and gotten the interview on the date that I asked for. Okay, the whole point is I'm trying to plant the seed in their mind. Hey, I really want this position. I really want to talk to you, and I'm going to follow up to do everything I can to set this up. Now, if you tell them that you're going to call them by a specific date, you really got to do it. If you blow off the date, then you kind of miss your window of opportunity a little bit. But I have found this to be very effective. I've given this topic, I've talked about this cover letter every few years at this career prep event. And I can tell you that every time I've used it, I've always gotten the interview. And I've gotten really, really good feedback from the students that have tried it as well. You know, they have, their chances of actually getting the interview has gone up. So this is it in its basic sense, okay? If you turn to the next page, it gives you an example of a time when I used it. And you notice that the introduction and the conclusion are all very similar to the generic one, but then in the middle there you've got the requirements listed and then the skills that I had with it. The following page, that was for an external position. The following page was for an internal position. So these are examples for you. But you know what? Some of the feedback that I've gotten from past years was, well, this is all fine and good, Don, but you've got lots of experience to go with these requirements. You know, what am I supposed to do if I'm a college student without a whole lot of experience? Okay, so what I did is, on the 4th page, I went online this week and I tried to find a nice little entry-level position that might be more similar to what you might find. Okay, and so this is an accounting clerk job, making between $24,000 and $33,000, and then it's got what they're looking for, the requirements and the type of person they're looking for. Okay, so the last page here is a sample of what a cover letter for this position might look like. And I think a lot of you would be able to pull this off. Their requirements are 1 to 5 years work experience. Well, so I put, you know, your skills could be hopefully some internship experience. When I was a college student, I waited tables at a country club throughout college. And it was nice, I got cash there on the spot with tips and everything, but it didn't do a darn bit of good for me when I went to try and find a real job. I wound up just talking about Delta Sigma the whole time in my interviews. I highly recommend, you know, get some internship experience while you're in school. If you don't, that's starting to be really expected now because more and more schools are even requiring it as part of the curriculum. So if you don't have that, that's going to really put you behind, and it helps you actually figure out what it is you want to do when you get out of school. So you know, here's possible for your skills: 2 years experience as an accounting intern, and of course this is an accounting thing, so I picked a couple different firms. Maybe 1 year preparing a tax preparer for as a volunteer for low-income families. They always like to see community service, but especially if it's something that can give you more experience in the field you want to go into. The requirement is a bachelor's degree in accounting, finance, or related field. Well, you should have a bachelor's degree by the time you graduate, right? One of the things you're going to find, accounting's a different animal a little bit, but one of the things you're going to find is, and someone asked me about this in the hallway, you don't have to be a finance major to go into a finance-related career. Same with marketing, same with management. If you have a business degree, in most cases, the company is going to train you the way they want you to be. So you don't have to think so laser focused on that. A bachelor's degree in business is most of the time going to be sufficient. So this particular job is asking for proficiency in Microsoft Office programs. If any of you graduate from college and don't have that, there's something wrong. You know, you should have lots of experience doing that just for your own classwork, preparing reports and things. Excellent written and verbal communication skills. You know, your skills to that. Be an officer in Delta Sigma Pi. Every week, you have to stand up and give a report. Or you have to do some written reports in some cases. Delta Sig is what taught me how to be a public speaker. And I will tell you that that has really helped me throughout my career. Good communication skills are always one of the top things that most companies look for, especially when they're grooming executives. Proficiency in accounting software package is preferred, and then you can put whatever you have there. If you know you're going to go into a field like accounting or a field, some sort of IT, clearly it makes sense to try and get as much experience in the different software that those fields use. And so even if you don't have a specific internship in that area, at least talk to professionals that work in that area, find out what sort of software they use, and try and get some experience with it. One of the best things you can do as a student is to network. I have never had someone, I've never called someone and said, hey, this is who I am, I'm interested in your company and finding out what it's like working there and what it's like doing what you do. I've never had someone give me a negative feedback on that kind of call. And so you can take advantage of that as a student and meet as many people in the field that you want to go into as possible, especially if you can narrow down a company. Talk to as many of those as possible. You may find that you really don't want to work there. You know, every position I've ever applied for, I've always sought out people in that company, in that position, so that I can find out the inside scoop, especially on the manager I'd be working for. Because you know, that person can make or break, you know, your time at that company. Now I'm in a situation where I finally got tired of that, and I'm my own boss, and I love that. So that's you know, that's even better. But it takes a special kind of person to be self-employed. So you know, on the bottom here, again, use the same verbiage. You pick a particular day, and then you follow up with the person. Now, one caveat to that: the particular monster.com thing that I chose there doesn't say what the company is. That's kind of hard to. Who do you know who to call? So in that case, hopefully, you know, maybe you would change the verbiage on the summary of that, and just ask for an interview and leave it at that and hope that they contact you. For the most part, though, if you're gonna apply for a job, do what you can to find out what that company is and who it is that's going to be interviewing you. Do as much background check as possible. LinkedIn certainly helps a lot to do background checks. And you know, the more you know going in, the better off you are, the more prepared, and the more you're going to impress the people. Social media has changed things so much, and if you don't have a LinkedIn profile yet, that's one of the first things you should do in the coming weeks, is set one up. You can find out so much about different professionals and network that way. I was just joking, my daughter just got selected for a select volleyball team. So I found out who the other parents are, and I've already looked them up on LinkedIn. One of them's a brother from Truman. We haven't met yet. He doesn't know that I know who he is, so I'll have to challenge him when I finally meet him. You know, that's a very powerful tool. What do you think about this particular style of cover letter? Do you think that that's something that you can use? Yeah.
So I have two questions. First of all, I know we have a CareerLink website, and through it often says what day the interviews are going to be and what day you'll find out from the company if you were asked back
Okay.
to the interviews. So how would you edit this cover letter if you know exactly the day that they're going to tell you and exactly the day that the interview would be?
Okay. I would just, I would cut it off as, I would like to have the opportunity to learn more about the position in an interview. Okay? You know, that way you're asking for it, at least.
Or if you know when they're coming, you can potentially say, when you're on campus on October 28th. I mean, and then you've signaled that you know they're coming, and that may help them too, know you've done your homework.
There you go. Yeah.
And then my other question is, I know a lot of times when you want to indicate you research the company, and do you have thoughts about integrating that? I know when you list your requirements, obviously that does, but that can be the same for different companies. So do you have thoughts about somehow integrating that, whether you should or shouldn't in this type of cover letter?
Absolutely. I think you should keep this cover letter simple. Stick to this, okay? As an interviewer, one of the first questions I've asked people is, what do you know about our company? And what do you know about this position that you're applying for? I want to see that you've done some background, some homework, because that shows how much you're interested in it. But I want to see that in an interview. Versus, it's going to be hard to fit that into here. And you want to keep this short and sweet. This is just like you know, an executive summary at the beginning of a report, okay? Where you have a very quick few bullet points. This is what you're going to see, and you know, when an HR professional or a hiring manager has 200 resumes to go through, it's got to be short and to the point. And that's the whole point of this is, hey, this is your requirements that you stated, and this is how I stack up to it. I'm saving you a bunch of time. Don't waste your time with all these other people. And that's the whole point of it. So, good question.